So you guys know I am super excited about this one. Airswap.io just launched their fully decentralized token marketplace this week. After conducting a big-time token sale of $36 million in October, they're launching their full trading platform. No custody of your assets. This is a big-time project backed by legendary investor Michael Novogratz, venture capitalist Bill Tai, and co-founder of Ethereum, Joe Lubin.
Yeah, this is an authentic peer-to-peer trade, marketplace. They have a substantial liquidity partner. There's no fees, no order books. I'm really looking forward to this, especially the more I'm getting into decentralized marketplaces. So
yeah, this is going to be a really good option. ERC20 compliant, so tons of Ethereum tokens you can trade. Like you said, no fees, no custody of assets, so it's safer than traditional options, desktop or mobile. I really think this is the future of trading these assets. Check it out, everybody. AirSwap is launching their full platform April 25th. Check it out, airswap.io.
All right, guys, I need some help. We got this conference coming up later on in the summer, and I have no idea what I'm going to wear. I'm thinking probably, try and look a little professional, maybe put on some dress clothes. But with that being said, I don't what kind of accessories do you guys rock with your dress clothes? I haven't worn dress clothes in so long. I kind of just dress like a hobo for the most part, just because I don't care usually. But now I'm thinking, hey, maybe I got a reason to care a little bit. I don't really get out much. So what do you guys think? I need some help.
Why don't you check out cufflinks.com? It's kind of like the men's accessories marketplace.
Okay, so what can I get on there then?
Prince, you can get anything on there. Cufflinks, tie bars, pocket squares, ties, socks, all the good stuff.
Yeah, they have 58 different brands, 13 different licenses, Star Wars, Marvel, all the more traditional looks, all the major sports leagues.
Even probably have hockey.
All right, well, I like that. I mean, I get myself some NHL stuff, but then again, I don't know if I want to out myself that easily on who I cheer for. It usually ends up being a case to make fun of me.
Yeah, we got to be looking our best though, and I've held this stuff and felt this stuff, and it's really quality stuff. I have some of the stuff myself. I have some lapel pins. Cufflinks that I use pretty much every day when I go to work.
See, I don't even own any cufflinks, so I'm thinking maybe I treat myself,
Yeah, what's cool about it too is not only do they have the more creative ones, like their upcoming Game of Thrones line, but all the more traditional ones, just standard colors and styles. It's a really good variety of dress accessories for any kind of guy.
Beauty. All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate the suggestion, fellas.
Prince, all you got to do is go check out cufflinks.com.
Yeah, and when you're there, be sure to use the promo code CRYPTO20 for 20% off your first order.
Well, I like discounts, so I'll be doing that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Let's go.
Round one. Fight. Thank you for tuning in to the Crypto Street Podcast. Here are your hosts, Killer Whale, Prince, and Crypto Dale.
And remember to tip your waitress.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Crypto Street Podcast. It is sunny, not at the moment, but it was today, and rainy here in Iowa today. I know everyone's dying to know. It was 65, and then 2 hours later, it was back in the 40s. Welcome to Iowa. This is Crypto Dale chatting to you. I'm joined, as always, with my two stellar co-hosts, Killer Whale.
What's up? I spent the weekend in New York. Got a little taste of that rainy weather, that East Coast frigid cold. It was about 30 degrees a couple of days, so that was interesting, but it was fun. Went to Atlantic City to watch the UFC card on Saturday, which is a good time. There were probably more fights in the stands than there were in the actual event, which was, I guess that's New Jersey.
Was it
for
just
you?
free for all? I imagine guys there with their American fighters. T-shirts
it was just
or whatever they're called.
Jersey Shore rejects, and just everyone's drunk as shit. Just yo, dog, you don't know how good a fighter I am, dog. You're just throwing haymakers in the crowd. But so it was fun though.
That's pretty good.
Tell me how that would again. Oh my god, that was awesome.
Yo, dog, you don't know what kind of fighter I am, dog. I'll fuck you up real good. 6 ways to Sunday. I got a chin like a cinder block.
And then I imagine they're sitting there with their fists punching their chin after they say it.
Okay, there was one fight off in the distance in the crowd, and I saw punches being thrown, and then I saw some guy just get leveled. He just dropped into the crowd. I was oh my god, he just got KO'd. It's where's security? They're we don't want to get involved in this.
So tonight we've got a special
Oh,
special co-host named Ty Lopez or Prince. I'm sorry, Prince.
What's up?
How's the weather?
It sucks. It's windy. It's gray outside. I've been cleaning up.
Gray?
Yeah, it's just gray. Like it's just
like emotionally, like you're relating your emotions to being gray,
like,
or the color gray.
It's just like gray. Like it should be raining right now. It's not for some reason, but it looks like it wants to. So overall, just kind of bleh. I've been cleaning up puppy piss all over the carpet today.
Oh, that's always eventful.
Yeah, so
that is always fun.
Yeah, I've had an eventful day. It's been good.
So today's guest is someone we've been trying to get on for. I think we had him scheduled for like the third episode ever, and then we just weren't able to make it to schedule work out. So we finally got the living legend, the man behind Pumpin' Bitcoin. Josh, I'm not even going to try and say your last name because I've heard it several times on Ledgercast, and he says it so good that I just
you don't want to butcher it.
I can't do it. Carpe Noctom on Twitter. So Josh, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We're pumped to have you. Pick your brain. You know, one of the movers. You're finally here, and we're going to pick your brain. So let's just start by telling everyone how you got involved in crypto, a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I heard about it on either Slashdot or Reddit pretty early on, like between 2011 and 2013. I don't really remember. And then I had a friend talk to me about Litecoin. He's also a silver bug, so it's kind of weird how that goes hand in hand. And then in 2013, I finally decided, like, okay, this thing might be real. Let's sign up for Coinbase. And the big thing, honestly, was the Senate hearing at the time in 2013, where it was like the Ripple people and Jerry Brito, I think, was there, and a few other Bitcoin people. And basically, the people were defending it, saying like it's not only for drugs and Silk Road and blah blah blah. Like it has a legitimate use, and all the while this was happening, there was also like the Willy bot and Mt. Gox, so it was going to 1,000. So that's basically when I got in, between like 500 and 1,000 in 2013.
So we're gonna have to touch on this Willy bot because I don't think anybody really has a clue what the Willy bot is.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay,
I know what it is, but it's like one of these things like I wasn't around for it and I've just heard stories. So you definitely got to go into what is the Willy bot for people.
Sure. So basically, as far as I remember, it was buying Bitcoin constantly at a regular rate on Mt. Gox with funds that may or may not have existed. So it was just like, it was just taking funds. You know, the whole thing wasn't solvent, the whole like Mt. Gox thing, because Mark had lost. It got hacked a few times that we didn't even know about till later. So yeah, it was just like buying like however many Bitcoin per minute or day. I don't remember the rate, but it was pretty obvious when it was happening and people were talking about it. But it was only like, I think a year later that someone actually like investigated what that was all about.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, and that played a huge role in the market demand at the time. I mean, yeah, there was demand, but like that was obviously manipulation.
Yeah, it was like a scheduled pump. It was like every day, right? Certain times.
It would just market buy constantly. Yeah.
So is the Willy bot kind of like the fraudulent tethers of 2013?
I mean, it's in the same vein. If people think, I can see why people think Tether is a joke and a fraud and blah, blah, blah. Like, Bitfinex and Tether are kind of in bed together. Mm-hmm. So that's a little suspect, obviously.
I'm still unclear if it's like fraudulent or not. I feel like it's like kind of been legitimized a little bit, right?
Well, there's too many loose screws. It's like, I believe they're completely solvent and they're fine, but they could do themselves a favor by fixing their image and doing some audits and getting some PR people and Craig Sellers making some statements. I don't know, like just literally anything else that they're doing from what they're doing now would be much better. But Tether works like.
Yeah, I got nothing against Tether. I'm in the same boat as you. I think they're fine, but.
Yeah. So the back channels that I hear, just people talking about like the banking with Tether and like as far as I know, all these people I trust, and they're completely on board with it being real and fine and solvent. So,
Yes, how has the market changed since you got involved? Because you've been involved for, quite a bit longer than a lot of people, I would say. Going back to when you first started, what was it like? What was the atmosphere like? Were you on Twitter then?
sure. So yeah, I think I was on Twitter like hardly ever compared to now. I was mainly on Whale Club TeamSpeak, and it was like 20, 30 guys at the time. Like it was it was nobody. It's pretty funny where it's how it's evolved and like where it's gone from like TeamSpeak to Telegram to Discord and like all these private groups now. It's just like it's crazy to see all that happen from these like 20 people in a TeamSpeak chat. But the market itself, I feel like there's like different types of manipulation. There's definitely manipulation. The market's gotten a lot bigger. There's more market participants. There's more people who don't know anything, and there's more people who know a lot. There's institutional people. There's the people buying Ripple from the LA bouncer. There's all sorts of people,
Yeah, I saw you comment on Twitter about the scams pretty recently.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these coins that are worth billions of dollars, and they don't even have a blockchain yet. And it's like, what are we speculating on here? I don't know. Like, I'll trade the chart and get the money. That's fine, but
yeah, fundamentally, there's just not really a whole much going on for it.
yeah, it's like ADA and IOTA. Like, sure, they have roadmaps and they have stuff coming, but currently, are they worth billions of dollars? I don't know. Is Tezos ever going to launch?
I was just about to bring
that up,
too.
Josh.
Allegedly, they're going to launch in like the next 2 months, like for sure now. At least a beta net. So looking forward to that if it happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if like 2 months go by and they're like, sorry, there's going to be another delay. They just screw everybody again.
People on the outside, I can totally see why they just bundle everything together and say all this is just complete scam, pumping up garbage, whatever.
Yeah,
because they just see that, I think, and they don't look at things a little deeper on a deeper level.
Yeah, and I guess software does take a long time too. Like I'm not a software person, so I don't really get that. But
tech's a funky game, right?
Yeah.
Like I think
Right.
someone I've heard say it's, in the tech industry, it's kind of, in a sense, almost common for consistent delays on releasing things because they'll shoot too early of a time frame and because they're overly ambitious and it's kind of a common thing.
Yeah, there was these video series by James D'Angelo a while back. They're still out there somewhere, but one of the things he talked about was Bitcoin, like the stage of the IPO and like how all this volatility isn't really seen in anything that's in an post IPO because generally like you get all this crazy stuff with Tezos, for example, like this foundation and blah, blah, blah. Like that's all behind closed doors for the most part. And you don't necessarily see that until post IPO, really.
Yeah, because this is a different model where it's like raise capital and then figure it out rather than figure it out and then raise capital and then figure it out more, which is more like a stock offering. I thought it was interesting that you mentioned that when you first got started, people were talking about Silk Road and, is this completely a scam? And is it used for anything other than drugs and crime? Because that still happens quite a bit today.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you read mainstream media, and I wonder if that's possibly an indication of maybe how the market has not matured as much as we might think it has. Because I feel like when it's really mature is when like you'll look like a crazy person for saying it is just used for drugs and crime and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, there are definitely certain ways where things have changed, but there's also like more new people coming, especially in the media. So they're just trying to write a story about something. And the easiest thing to talk about is obviously like, the bad stuff, right?
Josh, being that you are, one of the first early adapters, are you proud of what the space has become?
It's kind of surreal. Like even so, like in last year, Consensus, and then there was this Consensus Invest thing in November, I think. November last year. It's just surreal, like seeing that many people in a room interested in cryptocurrency, trading and investing and all that sort of thing.
I think I remembered you posting a tweet about it, something how like a year before or something. It wasn't a whole lot of people. It was fairly low key, and then next thing you know, this event is just it's booming, and there's a ton of people.
You can't not be bullish when you see the amount of people who've yet to invest. I mean, that's like I think Dan Moorhead of Pantera says that all the time. It's like Bitcoin's a $1 billion asset that nobody owns. Like that's just any crypto really. Like nobody owns this yet, really. it's still early, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, and like especially for people like you who have been in it for so long, it's got to be like it kind of feels like big relative to how you knew it in the past. But overall, you compare it to stocks, forex, bonds, fixed income. It's a tiny asset class.
For sure. And it feels, things have gone so quickly. Like, it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years since I started. It feels like I can remember all the stuff like it was yesterday, just because it's so like emotionally ingrained, the drop to 200, the rise above 1,000, like all that crazy stuff.
How'd you do it? Like going through that, the drop down to 200, like maybe go through a bit of your emotional state and how you tried to handle that, because that's tough. Like, I think a lot of people would like to hear that.
Yeah, I know I wasn't trading much. I was trading quite a bit on OKCoin, like not well.
Yeah.
Back in like
chipper.
20, the wood chipper. Like 2014 to 2015, whatever it was, before they kicked off American people. And I knew well enough that I didn't know how to trade at the time, so that I wasn't trying to trade my whole stack, which is like a big mistake that a lot of people make. They last for 3 weeks, they trade their whole stack, and then they just never look back, right?
Yeah.
Or they keep trying and keep losing money over and over.
That was me.
How long did you feel like it took you to become, in your mind, like a quote unquote good or like decent trader? Like what was that process like?
There are some days when I still don't feel like I'm good. Like I'm still like any time I enter a position, I'm always ready to just lose everything. Like I'm still in that mindset where like I can do certain things well. I can find like support resistance and bids and asks and blah, blah, blah. But there's still times when it's just like, well, the market's the market and you're going to get wrecked. You're going to get bulldozed. You have to be prepared to recover from that, not only financially, but emotionally. So just prepare,
I think that's like such an important point to make because, a lot of folks, especially when they first get into it, you're not thinking that the trade is going to go against you or it could go against you. You're just thinking that it's going to go in your favor. And then when it does go against you, you're like, oh my God, like, I'm falling apart.
I feel like especially because a lot of people first get involved during bull runs, right? Because they see something in the media
totally.
and they go, oh, this is a mainstream media. Maybe I should get into this. And so their first experience is like a rise, it's just buy and hang on and you're okay. But when that flips, it's definitely an eye opener. I always talk about my first night like really trading crypto, which was the Monero bull run in August of 2016. And I like bought a little bit of Monero and I was like on margin and it was like going up and I like doubled my little bit of capital overnight and I was like, oh, it's too easy. I'm going to be rich. I woke up like super early the next morning and like got all of it liquidated. And I was like, fuck, I was so pissed. But
that's how it always is. You do really well and then you just get completely wrecked.
Would you say that like your worst trades are almost always after your really big wins?
Oh, for sure. They're either the first trade or like the after the big win.
Yeah.
And like I said the other day on Twitter, I always trade better after a losing trade.
Yeah, that's so true. I have a similar story too. I bought Ethereum pretty low and then it, over time I just sat on it and it doubled and I'm like, this is too easy. Yeah. So I'm gonna go buy this and that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like 3 days later after I sold, I'm like, all right, so I'm back to starting point here. And then it just makes you focus a little more. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. And I'm one of those that learns by mistake. So it was probably bound to happen at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, I was the same way in 2013. That was the run up to 1,000. So I just, again, I knew that I wasn't any good at trading. So I just DCA'd dollar cost averaged just all the way down to 200. I had buys at like 182 or something on Coinbase, which is insane to think about that.
Yeah, it is.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And for you guys that got in that low, it's got to be so surreal. Like that run towards the end of last year when everyone, I think your name was 10K Moku by the end of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, I was just thinking like, yeah, hell yeah, I think we can get to 10K by the end of the year. And then, we that first time we tried to test the 10K and I was just like, oh, it's going to reject it. And then it just flew right past it, I think, or what I remember. And then it just did not stop. And I'm like, holy shit. And I can't help but think how surreal that is to you guys, like you and Cobain and Nomad and all those other guys that have been in forever. I can't imagine how awesome that feeling is for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the reason I kept buying through 2013, 2015 was because I kept watching the Andreas videos and drinking that Kool-Aid hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like this,
I
like
believe.
no joke. Like I'd watch an Andreas video and I'd like buy $30 from Coinbase.
I love that.
Yeah, my example of that is like, like Ripple was like half a cent or like 3/4 or like, a third of a cent or something. And then just seeing it at like $1 is like, is this real life? .jpg. And it's like, it's so hard for it to sink in, I think, a lot of the time.
See, I remember, like, to me, I think the big hype back when the run was just starting was just getting parity with the gold price. I remember it was so hyped, right? And that moment when it happened, it was like, holy crap, we're doing it, And little did I think, 10,000 could actually happen. And there were a lot of people saying, oh, we're going to hit 10,000. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't know what you guys are smoking, but whatever, go with it. And then next thing you know,
Oh yeah, I like that your Twitter name, like, and the different like price targets in it have kind of become like a beacon for I think like people to kind of say like, oh, this is possible. If this guy believes it, like I think we can get there. I think that kind of has an effect if enough people do that, and things become kind of self-fulfilling prophecies.
I mean, maybe.
Let's go with it.
What were we just talking about? Oh, the run to 10K. Yeah, I don't think anybody saw 20K. Like I was trying to think back in like January 2017 where I thought price was going. There's no way I thought it was going to 20K. And I think it's important to spend Bitcoin, the money you earn, because unless you do that, it's just money on a transaction sheet, At least for me, like it's important that I spend some of that because that says like, this is real. I don't know, because I never came from money. Like my background, I grew up on a farm, like went to public school,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I never came from money. So it's weird to like see something you were part of for so long actually go somewhere.
That was like kind of the thing my parents were telling me. It's like, you got to like treat yourself at some point, like spend some of it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to buy a Lambo, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Was that like hard for you to come to terms with though? Because I'm kind of there right now where it's like I really feel like I should take some profit, but it's truly painful to sell any crypto for me. And I feel like I can feel myself getting greedy. And I know it's maybe not the best thing, but I don't know, it's tough. Because I felt this way before, like a third of the total capital, and it's paid to hold on. So I don't. When does that end though? I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do. People always think it's like all or nothing. I'm a big advocate of like splitting your portfolio into two, where it's like 50 to 75% you just hold, and the rest you actively trade in and out of. And then with that, you decide what to do with it based on your system, whatever that is. So maybe it's sell half on a double. Maybe it's use fractal stops with the cloud, whatever. But I would never feel bad like taking profit. Like, yeah, it sucks, when things go. Like I had an Ethereum trade that I let go of at like 680 or something. And, it went to like 740 today or whatever. So, what are you going to do? But profit's profit at that point.
Yeah, you can't ever fault for taking any profit.
What is up, Crypto Street? Are you trying to look fly for that special lady in your life or look your sharpest for an upcoming job interview? Cufflinks.com is your go-to spot for everything men's accessories. They have 58 different brands, including Hook & Albert, Ox & Bull, and their own proprietary brand, Cufflinks Inc. They have 13 different licenses, including Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Marvel, DC Comics, and all the major sports leagues, so you can really customize your look. They have everything from cufflinks, tie bars, clips, socks, ties, bracelets, accessory bags, and much more. Encourage you to elevate your look when you get dressed in the morning. It's really going to give you that confidence to kill whatever you have coming up. Visit cufflinks.com and enter the promo code CRYPTO20 for 20% off your first order.
I got a question now. So, like, what's your take? Everybody's kind of hyped up on Twitter. It's alt season. What's your take on this right now?
The term all season is like triggering for me because it's just like it's all these like pikers, which are people who have like no money trying to train, which is basically what I was back.
We
in
were
the
all
day.
there once.
Yeah. But it's like these people, like in my mind, it's people with like $50 going all in on Tron, hoping for like all quote unquote all season to swing around and like bless them with 10x or whatever. I don't know. It's pretty clear that everything's sort of turned around. Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all the lower cap stuff, even like IOTA and ADA and all that, has definitely turned on several metrics besides just like moving averages and cloud. But sure, all seasons, it looks good. I think it's going to get slaughtered if Bitcoin goes to like 14K in the next couple of weeks, which I think is where it's headed. But maybe not, maybe they all move together.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe
we
like
dream,
we
right?
need the Bitcoin strength for the alt strength. Because I think like one of the ways it can work, and I think it did a little bit of this last alt season, was like Bitcoin would rise, which would affect the alt versus Bitcoin ratios a little bit. But then alts would recover and they'd climb higher and their dollar value would go significantly higher because they were kind of chasing this rabbit in Bitcoin that's constantly going up, And so the ratios are going higher and the dollar values are going way higher. And so I'm kind of torn, but like there is that thought on the other hand that if Bitcoin does really well, it just crushes alts.
Yeah, I mean things are changing in the sense that the market itself, the infrastructure is changing. So the on ramps for alts are increasing. Whether or not that'll affect things directly, like the Circle app and Robinhood, I don't know if they're like plugged into exchanges somewhere. They must be, I think, but things like that are coming, whether it's Binance or whatever. So it makes it so that people don't necessarily need to buy Bitcoin immediately to buy these alts, which means that Bitcoin may or may not rise as quickly as some of these alts will if people are just buying in that respect. But I think the infrastructure, the basically lack of preparedness for scaling really helped fuel November, December last year because there were these people at the gate like clamoring to get in, and the FOMO was just getting worse and worse and worse. Meaning people were trying to buy, higher and higher and higher. Even with Ripple specifically, I was hearing these stories from all these people. I was talking about the LA bouncer. Like these are real stories. I was hearing from like people in Texas, people in LA, people in London, people in Vegas. Like everybody's talking about Ripple, but nobody can actually buy it or knows where to buy it. At the time, I don't think like Bittrex was taking new customers. I don't think Polo was. The Ripple site itself was down for a time. So it's like all these people want to buy, they can't. Only the people who are already in can move the market. So then you got this explosion of new money,
I feel like most people can kind of figure out, most people who are fairly tech savvy can figure out making a Coinbase account and buying Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin, what have you. But as soon as you get into a matter of like sending that somewhere and then buying something denominated in Bitcoin, they're like, oh, no, I'm out. I don't get it.
Yep.
It's hard for me to know people just because I'm so like out of that loop at this point. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it as well. People are obviously fearful. Like even when I send coins to this day, and it's not immediately like on the chain, I'm like, where'd my money go?
Yeah,
like, why isn't it showing up yet?
Like keep hitting refresh. It's like, okay, come on, show up on the block. Let's go.
Right? And then I'm like, wait, did I actually send it? Did I use enough gas? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't figure out my Ether wallet for the longest time. I was just like, I get so confused when I go on there.
That site is such a disaster on so many levels.
It's a train wreck.
Had a nice little fiasco go on today. I think when I looked at the wallet that was draining money from people, it was at around, I don't know, it was like 18 million US it had or so.
Really?
Yeah, worth of Ether.
I think that number's up to 20.
Is it up to 20? Yeah.
Last I checked.
That's, it's crazy because I actually I woke up when I was hearing about this and I didn't, you're still in this like foggy state when you're just waking up in the morning and seeing everybody, kind of panicking about Mew. And I'm like, oh my God, like, don't tell me like I've lost everything somehow. Find out I haven't, thankfully. But, you look at stuff like this that happens. And I think it's another kind of indication, like, we think we're pretty far along, we're pretty good. And reality, I think we're still pretty fresh. Like when things like this are happening, it kind of scares people off in a sense, right?
For sure. It scares like all of us, I think, still. And like we're pretty involved. I mean, it scared the hell out of me when I woke up this morning. I used Mew yesterday, I think. And I mean, I get like some of the intricacies of like using Mew and hardware wallets and signing transactions and things like that. But it's still really scary because I'm not like the most technical person. I know for a fact there are people who know computers way better than me who are trying to steal money, So
Yeah, when I first heard that news, I was first not surprised at all. And then just because the market participants using Mew aren't, like you said, there aren't, even I don't like using Mew because it's just not straightforward most of the time. But yeah, like people not checking certain security things, like making sure the website says like secure at the top or whatever.
Getting clear warnings from the site saying this is unsecured and then just ignoring it and continuing on. Yeah, but as long as you have a hardware wallet and you have 2FA and everything, it's pretty hard. Like it's going to get hacked one day. I don't know when, but terrified for that day.
It's pretty hard to lose money if you do those things.
And I know like we've definitely echoed it on the show before about having a hardware wallet. But again, this Mew thing is another example of why it is important to have a hardware wallet. So,
but even Trezor uses Mew for their tokens.
Trezor
so
Ledger, like my Nano does. And so it's like, I think, somebody, I think it was Panama Crypto on Twitter had checked out, like he'd gone onto his Mew and with his Nano and he made an attempt to like say just send the transaction, and sure enough it's like it was showing up a different address on his ledger when he had to confirm it. So like
really
definitely so, and if you're not sending it through a ledger or a Trezor, you're not going to see that different address popping up, right? So it's
yeah I mean, I just sent tokens like you said. I sent them like yesterday or the day before. But it could happen to anybody theoretically.
Is it just me, or does Mew have problems like every couple of months too?
They definitely do.
It's like a honeypot with the lid permanently open.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good way to put it.
Clever. I like that. And it's like, I mean, what was it like? Only 2 months ago, I think they had like the My Ether wallet thing, which was a complete shit show. Like people didn't even know if they were going to the right website.
Yeah, that was so weird. It was like, why so many people use your website? Why would you try to confuse people?
So ridiculous.
That didn't make any sense to me either.
It scared the shit out of me, honestly, because it was like, hey, well, they can't be this ridiculous to do this. Like, that was my thing. It's like, this is just so stupid. Why would anyone do this? And it just freaked me out. But of course, crypto, I just move forward and forget about it.
I guess it was like one party just kind of like hijacked the Twitter account or something, right? But like I don't get why they wouldn't come to some kind of agreement, just because it didn't look good on either of them. I don't think. No.
It reminded me of the what was it? The crypto cards for people on Twitter.
Crypto All Stars or whatever.
Crypto All Stars. Yeah.
Shout out Randy. I met Randy and Donnie this past weekend.
Shout out to Randy.
Yeah. That was a wild ride.
Yeah.
What a crazy ride for those guys that did it, but
all within a week. So, now we have so much, I guess we're seeing, there's the Mew issue today. What would, other than say, really securing your shit and getting a hardware wallet, what would you, some advice for people that are thinking about getting into this market, aren't really sure they want to take the dive. They're seeing all of this happening, and they don't know what to think. What would you say?
I think it's important to send different types of things. So, obviously sign up for Coinbase, even though I don't really use Coinbase anymore. I mainly use GDAX, but people need to sign up with something, whether it's Coinbase or whatever. Move stuff around. I don't think they need to experiment with like a paper wallet or anything. Definitely get used to your money being places you're not used to it being.
Get comfortable with using a blockchain to send money.
Right. Yeah. Right. Knowing like how to check, like, so when I send stuff, I only check like the first 3 and the last 3 of the address, really. Yeah. Like I don't go through every single thing unless it's like a giant transaction.
And I think it's also it's important too. I think people get used to, one thing I hear about a lot is, well, where's my transaction? Where's my transaction? It's not in my wallet. And it's like, well, and they're like, is it just lost forever? And it's like, well, look on a block explorer or something, go online. And a lot of people don't even, I think, realize that they can do that.
Yeah, that's another good point, that it's an open ledger. Everything is an open ledger. Like, you can look it up online.
That's really good advice, just to get used to sending small amounts out and about and like back and forth between different addresses. And like, I always tell the story of my dad who like signed up for Coinbase, and then I made him buy a Tracer, and he was setting it up, and he's like, so wait a minute. If I send it off of Coinbase onto this, it's off of Coinbase? Like, it's gone from my screen there? And I was like, yep. And he's like, oh, no. I'm not doing that. No. I'm telling you it's okay. But he's like, nope, don't trust it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the key layer of trust on the blockchain. Like, that's how it works, Oh, yeah. But people think like Coinbase, like it's my bank. Like, I have a mobile banking and I have a website with banking. So it's really no different than Coinbase until you move it off Coinbase and it goes flying around in the blockchain.
So speaking of parents, kind of funny story. My mom and dad with some guidance from me, bought some stuff a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and my dad has his Blockfolio, and my mom was over last night and said that my dad religiously is checking that, and he called me and was like, called me by my real name and was like, hey, how do I add more money to this Blockfolio? I want to buy a couple things. I was just like, Dad, you gotta go through Coinbase, and he's like, I don't understand that shit. You just do it, and
dude, he's
put it on my Blockfolio thing.
He's perfect for crypto Twitter. Sign him up.
Yeah.
Just add things to Blockfolio. Take screenshots.
Yeah, I don't even have a Blockfolio, honestly. I don't keep track of that.
I stopped using a Blockfolio.
I actually haven't been updating it. Granted, I haven't been actively really selling anything the last couple of weeks, been buying, but I don't really update it much anymore. Too much shit going on.
I'm hopelessly addicted to it. I refresh it like 3 times per minute, probably, over the course of the day. I can't
start panicking when it's, API services are down. I can't get prices.
Yeah, for real.
Like, come on.
Isn't it funny how spoiled you get, though? Like, you can't refresh Blockfolio for like 5 minutes. You're like, you stupid piece of shit. Like, your crap software. Like, why do I ever use you? It's just like...
Yeah, that's how spoiled we are.
Yeah, totally. Josh, I'm curious, like, your thoughts on like Bitcoin maximalism, if that's changed at all from when you first got started, when Bitcoin was kind of the only game in town, versus today where you have like, there's an alt for like every person on the planet, I guess your views on it, whether it's like, whether you consider yourself like a maximalist at all. I get the feeling probably not really, but.
I guess I don't really know like the hard definition. If it's like, you're not going to trade or talk about anything else other than Bitcoin, that's definitely not me. But, I think everything else is mostly trash. Just because Bitcoin has the ability to suck up. It's like, the thing in Spirited Away, like the monster at the end, where it just like sucks up everything else in the room. Maybe not.
It's like the Kirby of cryptos.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it could just, we've got some of the best devs, or the best devs in the world, and things are moving along now that the whole Bitcoin Cash thing is behind in the rear view. So in that respect, there's plenty of things to look forward to.
On that note, for
Bitcoin specifically.
I had somebody at work call me into the office like pretty recently. They're like, oh, this Bitcoin Cash, I see it's up 50% today. What do you think? And I was like, oh, bro, Bitcoin Cash? Like everyone hates that. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Trust me, I wanted to call it Bcash, but I wasn't sure politically how you guys stood on that.
No, you call it Bcash.
We kind of call it Bcash, but then for the Roger Ver episode, we had to be on our best behavior, so we didn't offend him. And so we were like, Bitcoin Cash, and like we kept calling it that, but it was tough.
Yeah, and one time I was rattling something off to him, and I'm like, and then you have or I like had to spit it out. I'm like, Bitcoin Cash, Prince said from the shadows. I'm like, yes.
Thank you, yeah. Well, they got some deceptive stuff going on right now too. Like, I think I was seeing some tweets about how they're calling now Bitcoin Cash just Bitcoin, and in my opinion, the real Bitcoin, they're calling it Bitcoin Core now, and it's like for new people getting into the space, I don't like it. That's gonna screw around.
It's pretty scammy.
It is.
Bitcoin Cash has like a good number of defenders on Twitter though. Shout out Clutch. Who like every time it goes up like 10%, they're like, see, told you, Bitcoin Cash.
There were people before the SegWit thing and like pre-August who were super convinced that Bitcoin Cash was going to be the next thing and Bitcoin wouldn't be around past August. So that that happened, and SegWit 2x didn't happen, which is a huge boon to Bitcoin's anti-fragility. Just like it would have been interesting to see if that actually went off and what happened, because it wouldn't have been good, that's for sure. But I'm definitely glad it didn't.
It's so confusing for new people. I mean, every like new person I've gotten involved is like, oh, what about this Bitcoin Cash? It's just like a way lower priced version of Bitcoin, right? And I'm like, not really.
Well, it's like that, that Rhett guy from Bitcoin Private asked on Twitter the other day, like, ask your no coiner friends which of these 3 privacy coins sound the best. It's like, what does that even mean or matter? Like, these are people who know nothing.
Was this with that little diagram where it had like check marks and like Bitcoin Private checked all of like their made up check marks or something, and Monero was like half of them, and they're like, see? Was that? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
It could have been, but it's just like, you're not ring signatures, you're trash. Like, I don't care. It's a complete just money grab, like Litecoin Cash, like Plasma Cash, all this other crap that's coming. Why the hell did Raiden need an ICO? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That one blew me away.
Yeah, that's very confusing. I still don't get that at all.
That was a sign of the times, if not anything. It's like, hey, we could do an ICO. Let's do an ICO.
Raiden, you're referring to like the technology within Ethereum, right? That helps with scaling or something? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so Raiden is a part of the scaling package for Ethereum that's very similar to Lightning Network. So bidirectional payment channels that stay open, similar to a bar tab. And this happens off-chain, and then they settle on-chain.
Gotcha.
So that's what Raiden and Lightning are.
Did you guys see this thing about Snoop Dogg going to perform at Ripple's blockchain party in New York City?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was fake first. I was like, that can't be real. There's no way.
How to console people who bought the top. Just bring Snoop Dogg out to your conference.
But they must be sitting on so much money. Like, so much just made up money.
God.
Man, like those founders, they were like, one of them was richer than Zuckerberg.
They were like one of the richest people in the world for like a couple days or something.
Yeah, it's
silly. Why didn't we think of Ripple?
Let's not give this shitcoin any more attention, and let's start talking about the Ichimoku cloud that Josh, you are an expert on. So I know I use it quite often, and mainly because I think like you stated in your videos, Josh, that I've watched several times. I recommend to anyone listening, if you want to know what the Ichimoku cloud is about, Josh's YouTube videos are phenomenal. So it's just very simple. So if you could just give like a high level overview, I guess, or some secrets maybe about it a little bit, I guess, just touch on it.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you first of all. And it tries to give you 80% of the trend. That's all it ever does. It tries to say, are we trending? Yes or no? Here's the entry. Here's the exit. And it's not really too fancy. It looks super intimidating when you look at it.
Yeah, it does.
But once you understand what it's trying to tell you, I think it's pretty easy to, it's easy to learn, hard to master, I think. Mm-hmm. I think the way it sort of picked up in this like mimetic, like I don't have a private group. I didn't try to push it on anybody, but it just sort of exploded all over crypto. I'm not sure why, but it's cool, I guess. It's nice that I can look at other people's charts and do my own TA in my head and say like, yes or no, that's what that means. That's what that doesn't mean. Just because cloud is on most everybody's chart. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of, that's probably one of the most surreal things. Like, yeah, Bitcoin price is high, but just seeing everybody using cloud is it's pretty cool.
I remember when I first put it on my charts, obviously because I've been following you, like using it for a while, and I was like, okay, I really got to try this stuff and like see if it makes me any better. And like I had it in my chart, and like I put it on, and I was like, okay, I have no idea what any of this means, but it makes me feel super confident. Like I just feel like my charts look very pro now.
I feel good.
Yeah. And proceeded to lose money.
If you're a visual person like me, like I'm super visual. I think that's why I really gravitated towards it. It's really helped my trading.
It simplifies a lot. Like I find, I've tinkered around with it myself, and I don't use the actual cloud itself, I think it's the Taiken and the Heiken, the two lines that do their own little thing.
Of course you say it right.
I don't know what they're called. I just like the lines because they're great on the chart.
The TK line.
Yeah,
the
the
Tenkin and the
TK line.
Kijin, right?
The Kijin. Yeah.
Tenkin, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even I don't say it right. Because,
Yeah.
like, I'm not Japanese, but it's, Tenkin, Kijin, whatever. Something
Is
like
the
that.
Kijin the main?
Sounded a
trend
hell of a
line?
lot better than what Prince said.
Ignore my pronunciations.
Yeah, so Kijun is like the mean reversion line, or the line that price is always trying to get back to.
I think
I find them
Taiken and
incredibly helpful.
I think that's going to turn into the new Binance and Decred, Prince.
Yep, I was thinking that too.
Give me a break. Give me a break. Fuck.
Yeah, and one thing, cloud has helped not only trade like things on high time frames, Bitcoin, Ethereum, but it really helps filter through all of the 200 altcoins, whatever it is, that people are trading. I was just looking at Bittrex the other day, and it's like there are 500 plus pairs on Bittrex. How are you supposed to filter through all this unless you have a quick way? Ichimoku literally means at a glance. So that's what it tries to give you, is just like, you just look at it, and that's why it's perfect for Twitter, because I can just see everybody else's stuff and just take a look and say yes, no, blah, 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 and then there are things like they're at a deeper level. Like I talk about edge to edge trades and all this other crazy stuff that sounds like it's complete voodoo, chicken bones and like tea leaves, but
That's where the money's made, the voodoo.
That's right.
Like,
until you see it, like before and after, like
yeah.
very clearly, like over and over and over again, then you're like, okay, maybe this is real.
Well,
maybe this will work.
Yeah, and like you'll post. I find like I'll notice you'll show kind of like the potential edge to edge setups, and we don't need to get too much into what an edge to edge setup is here, because I'm sure the listeners, they can go check out your channels and they'll learn all about it. But it is like I remember when I first got on Twitter and I'm seeing you posting this stuff, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like he's on something else, and then, and then you watch it play out, and it's like, oh wow, okay, like
He does know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's not even me. Like a lot of people say, like, you're so good at trading. I'm like, I guess, but like I'm just using the same thing that you can use, the same tools you can use. As long as you know what you're doing, it's really not. It's honestly not that difficult. And again, back to like the way it's spread, I think just says a lot to that system. Like it's really easy to pick up and to use.
Is there a certain time frame that you use more than others, or does it kind of vary between like the daily chart, the 30-minute, the hourly, something like that?
Yeah, this is a question I get a lot, and something I struggled with a lot when I started. It took me like years, like no joke, to figure out like the time frame really doesn't matter. It's all about the speed of the market. So when things are moving quickly, you want to go down time frames. When things are slow, you want to go up time frames. That doesn't answer your question, but
No, that's a
that makes sense.
That
It's a great answer, yeah.
I think like a lot of
Mainly-
things, it's not an easy answer. It's complicated.
yeah, so like when like the bull run from like November, December, if you miss the entry, you're just like on a high time frame, you're just waiting for like an $800 pullback or something. But if you go down to the smaller time frames, you start to see things like certain chart patterns that speak to continuation, certain divergences that speak to pullbacks, things like that you can sort of ride the wave a little easier when things are quick. So like there's an example of like Pascal or something that got listed on Poloniex, 2017.
That was
I don't
wild,
know.
Yeah.
I was charting. I think I was charting that like on the 1 minute at the time. Like if there's volume and liquidity, like you can get really good signals.
Well, how much did that thing pump too? Like it just went nuts.
Yeah, it did. It went.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was me on the Monero charts on Poloniex when I first started. I was just trading the 5 minutes because I think that was the smallest you could go. And I was like, why would you look at anything else? This is the most detailed. And it kind of made sense though, because it was so volatile, and it was just bull pennant after bull pennant. And you could just buy the slight breakout of that pennant and you were guaranteed like another 30% higher probably.
Exactly. So like on a high time frame, you just see like this giant bar. But if you zoom in on the microscope on a low time frame, you can see that there are certain better and worse entry points, right?
Have you found that like you can kind of get like microcosms of patterns on smaller time frames too? Like you can kind of see like they say like don't put too much weight into those patterns, and I guess that's mainly true where like higher bigger time frame patterns mean more, but you can kind of get like smaller patterns that can be meaningful too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, I see. I post a lot on Twitter, but I also see a lot of stuff I don't post on Twitter. And a lot of that is like low time frame stuff, but it's like. It's low time frame, but it's a lot of candles. It's like, oh, that's an inverted head and shoulders, or that's a head and shoulders, or whatever. Or there's like the certain entry here on a lower time frame. So yeah, you can definitely do well on low time frames if you know what you're looking for. Like you said though, like the bigger moves tend to happen on higher time frames rather than lower time frames.
Well, perfect. Covered a lot. I think we should probably wrap up. Some people's heads might be ready to explode with all the knowledge you've dropped. So anything, maybe show your Twitter or your YouTube channel a little bit, Josh, before we, give parting words or whatever a little bit.
Sure, yeah. I just hit over 100,000 on Twitter, which is another
congratulations. Yay.
Another surreal type thing. Like people care about what I say. Like that's just weird. Yeah, YouTube I do when I have time. Videos, the people seem to like the videos.
Great resources. Yeah.
Brave New Coin.
Fantastic.
Brave New Coin articles 3 times a week ish. Those I try to make. I try to make everything I do like things I want to read, things I want to watch. So they're usually like very dry or very to the point. I think that's really it. Ledgercast.
I like your market update too that you do every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, people want me to do that more regularly, but it's like I only do those when I have something to say. So if I don't have anything to say, then what's the point? So
that's right. Yeah, and you're periodically a guest on Ledgercast or co-host. I don't know how you guys handle that. You're a co-host, right?
Sure. Yeah. It's basically just Brian and me having a conversation, just like this.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So, thanks so much for being on, Josh. Appreciate it. Find him on it's Carpe Noctom on Twitter, just how it sounds. So, thanks everyone for listening. You boys got anything final you want to add?
No, thank you for coming on and chatting with us.
Yeah, just thank you, man. I remember when I first got on Twitter, I think you followed me one day, and I was like, oh, this guy with like the cool avatar, the guy looking through the blinds or whatever, is following me. This guy's like one of the sickest traders, so it's pretty cool having you on the podcast. So thank you.
Yeah, it was.
That's the other weird thing. Like so many people come back to me and say like, oh, thanks for following, or like, thanks for replying to my tweet. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm on Twitter. Like I live on Twitter.
I think it was like literally you and CryptoPath who were the first people to like ever follow me on crypto Twitter when I got on a few years ago. So yeah, still bringing back memories there.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
thanks.
it.
And everyone, thanks for listening. Take care. Peace out. Tip your waitress.